Okay, all right. All right, thank you. All right. Settle down. Thank you. Tonight's program is sponsored by the American Beef Council. I'm What's for Dinner. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Former Biden press secretary Karine Jean Pierre has a new book out called Independent. She came up with this title since she's going to be the only one reading it. Said she wrote the book because people at the grocery store kept asking, what's going on with the Democratic Party? And the only thing she could say was, paper or plastic. To build President Trump's ballroom, the White House has begun demolishing the East Wing facade. The building hasn't seen this much destruction since one First Lady found a damp cigar under the sofa. Disgusting. I know. CBS News host Gayle King is being criticized by lefties for posting a selfie next to Jesse Waters on an airplane. But Jesse isn't fazed. He's too busy bragging to everyone that he met Michelle Obama. True, Jesse still calls Tyrus Charles Payne.
Yep.
On the Jimmy Kimmel Show, Jimmy had a drag queen on to read books to kids. No surprise, many parents were really upset that the show would expose children to Jimmy Kimmel. The kids later said, I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, and the drag queen was creepy too. 3 women have been arrested for trying to smuggle 8 kilos of gold into Japan by hiding it in their underwear. Their scheme was exposed when they were tackled by an aroused William Devane. What's in your panties? And finally, Cheryl Hines revealed that her husband, RFK Jr., offered to have a fake separation during the election to avoid public scrutiny. Does that mean you can go out and get fake Hummers? Asked one man. Believe he was referring to the car. All right. So, welcome to the Biden after party, where the creeps who sold you the worst presidency ever wants to sell you their books. And the media, which spent 4 years as a laxative for that crap show, is suddenly mad at Karine Jean Pierre. Nope, they're not mad at themselves for missing the story, but at the Democrats who fed them their lines like a mama bird barfing into its offspring's mouths. Yeah, they're pissed at the press secretary for doing her job, which, let's face it, was to try to convince us that we weren't seeing what we were seeing. The total destruction of the executive branch by a guy who spent his days trying on coffins. Now KJP is making the rounds with a new memoir called Independent, which could have been shortened to Independs. In honor of her boss. But now the knives are out as dishonest hacks scold KJP for denying what they happily covered up.
He talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does, way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do paid events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're doing. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good. He sounded very old.
Now, what he's really saying to KJP is, shame on you for telling us what we wanted to hear. The difference, of course, was that was her job, to be loyal and lie about her boss. Your job, Timmy, was to question it, but you didn't. We did. This show, this network. And for our trouble, media hall monitors like you called anyone who questioned Biden's competence a crank, a conspiracist, or worse. Now that the receipts are stapled to the national forehead, you're blaming the spin doctor who spun you like she was hired to. Looking back, she did the best she could with what they gave her. It's like being a chef on Chopped, and your 3 ingredients are ice cream, a dirty diaper, and formaldehyde. But now major outlets like CBS are suddenly discovering, with all the shock of a dog catching its own tail, that Biden's weak and feeble performance was indeed weak and feeble.
What you said in this book is you're angry at the people who tried to push him out.
Yes, that's correct.
Some Americans are going to say, seriously?
You said you're a member of the inner circle and you never saw the decline. And after that, I wrote, how?
He aged and he poked fun at it. We always owned up. And with age comes what happens when you get older.
Which is?
I never saw anyone who wasn't there. I saw someone who was always engaged.
Engaged? I think you mean embalmed. Even Colbert went after her over Biden's mental acuity.
You're talking to a guy who helped raise $25 million for Joe Biden in March of that same year. And three months later...
Thank you for that. Thank you for stepping in and doing that.
I saw a guy who I had not seen backstage at the benefit that I did. It seemed like a dramatically different person. I don't think it was necessarily a betrayal of Joe Biden as other people saying, we don't think we were shown the Joe Biden that you saw.
I saw every day a really ugly assault on someone who had 50-plus years of experience.
Yeah, 2 of which he remembers. But imagine fighting over who got fooled by Biden the most. That's like arguing over who's dating the most Nigerian princes. So now they admit the truth. But where was this honesty when it counted? Back when the Oval Office was a dung heap and voters were told to cover their noses. Are we supposed to admire the media now when it's safe to go after people no longer working for Joe? Gayle King was around the whole time, and now she acts as if Biden's behavior was so obvious to her, but she never said anything when it mattered. So where were these bozos when Joe was decomposing in the dark? They were too busy pushing anything they could against Trump, including an invalid they deliberately ignored. So we're not going to congratulate these hacks for pretending to do their job when the job no longer matters. Instead, let's pose this question. Who's the most successful politician of this century? It's Donald Trump. And he did this with 98% of the media against him. And his success wasn't in spite of them, but because of them. It turned him into a fighter, a leader, a badass. Therefore, shouldn't the Dems realize that having the media on your side makes for terrible, weak, entitled politicians? Trump had the most antagonistic press ever, and he emerged the strongest candidate we've ever seen. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. They made Trump stronger even as some tried to kill him. The media is like the parents of a child who they spoil rotten. Everything he wants, he gets. You fast forward 15 years and the spoiled brat is doing nothing. No desire, no energy, no purpose. That's Joe Biden. That's the entire Democratic Party. Then there's another kid with different parents. Nothing got handed to him. He had to work his way through school, and the moment he hit 18, he was on his own. Quickly found his calling and turned his anger into agency. That's Trump. He expected nothing from the media. And because of that, he ended up with everything. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Her swear jar could pay for her sports car. Goes up outnumbered Emily Campagno. He's rearranged more faces than Pelosi's plastic surgeon, MMA star Colby Covington. For her high school prom, she took Ron Paul, New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor captive. He's tall enough to raise the roof, and a lot of his fans have shingles. Former NWA world champion and host of the Planet Diaries podcast, Karine. Emily, I'm not excusing KJP for being dishonest, but at least that's her job description. She's supposed to be a team player and lie. Now you have the press acting like we're supposed to take it seriously when they do their job.
Well, I think it adds insult to injury that she's doing that same attempt at gaslighting now on her book tour. She dug in on the book, and now she's digging in when people are sort of calling her out on what's in it. And I think that the whole point is that from the luxury of having left the podium, she can now say, the Democratic Party left me, now I can tell you the truth. Now I can call myself an independent and leave the party. But what about when American lives were at stake? Because she stood there for 4 years and she lied about Afghanistan, about the border, about voting, about his mental health, his physical acuity so much. That's not the job description. The job description is to represent the executive branch. You represent the president, but the president represents the people. So as far as I'm concerned, she was just a liar representing a crypt keeper. And you talk about the media complicitness. Absolutely. You showed the most iconic photo potentially in history of President Trump standing up, fight after he was shot. But remember what won the Pulitzer that year? A picture of Biden standing feebly at the podium, barely able to stand straight, musing about the Ukraine funding bill he had just penned. So at every step of the way, the history that our president made is not given. It's just given such short shrift, but we know that. So her media tour now to try to garner some type of, I don't know, sympathy for her role when she enjoyed every second berating our colleagues who dared to ask questions. Over and over again, she berated any type of independent journalist that actually said, on behalf of the people, tell me what's going on. She, in my opinion, deserves nothing.
All right. Well. Still, Colby, I hate the media more. Because they didn't question her. Now they're questioning her when it doesn't matter.
It's true. The gaslighting is insane.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to believe everything and question everything she said all along. Was it a lie?
Yeah.
Now she's saying she's not a Democrat?
Yeah.
Is she even a lesbian? I mean, I don't know. Let's
Only
be
you
honest.
can find out.
I see that new haircut, KJB. Give me a call. Let me see what's in that binder.
You nasty little man, Colby. No. I think you mean the literal binder, though, right?
The literal binder.
Yes, yes. Cats! Still chuckling over that. I don't know. What do you think?
No, you're right. It is her job. That is
Yeah.
what a press secretary's job is to cover no matter what. That is what they're there for, and you expect that when it's not just a person talking, it's the press secretary talking. That's like the whole nice thing about having one.
Yeah.
If I had a press secretary, I'm wandering around the street naked. It's your job to figure out how to spin it that I did it for the country.
Yes, exactly.
That is your only job. But the fact that she's also now continuing to lie too, and also the fact that she's like, I never saw that, and I don't see how people aren't like, okay, great, but what about the stuff that we all saw? Because you don't need any kind of like insider information to go out there and to see the stuff that when he did go out there, what that looked like. Although I would push back on one thing you said, which is I don't think the press being tougher on him would have helped because I don't think he would have known the difference.
Yeah, it's true.
To be like, I feel like he was so far gone that the difference between a tough line of questioning and not a tough line of questioning, it's really very much the same thing when you can't even figure out who in the room is alive and who is not there because they're dead.
Yeah, it's like having a talk with some like old lady that on the street. You could say anything and she has no idea.
Yeah, if she wouldn't know you're being mean to her.
Yeah, exactly. I practice that a lot in my spare time. Tyrus, do you think this is all about just the fact that she didn't care what was in the book? She got the advance. The key is to get the advance. That's the money they pay you ahead of time.
Well, it was just a well-run campaign. Biden may have been slipping, but the doctor wasn't.
Yeah.
She surrounded him by morons. So therefore, you couldn't, if the media would have, because if the media did their job, he would have been out of the office probably 6 to 8 weeks into getting in the office, which means we would have had 3.5 years of Kamala. Couldn't have that. So
the media were heroes.
So they were like, ugh. And then they're like, listen, if we got Kamala behind them, let's put somebody a little dumber in front of them.
Yeah.
And then we ghostwrite the book for you and give you your talking points, just like they gave her her talking points when she was press secretary. Press parrot probably would have been a better term. And so she's going on this book tour talking to all of us like we weren't in the room.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.